All right, welcome to another Conscious Builder Live. And today we have Arda Erturk on with us, and we are going to be talking about e-scooters. So here at the Conscious Builder, sustainability and technology is something that personally, well, I'm really interested in the technology part. And we have this new technology that is rolling. You'll pardon my pun into Ottawa right now. And Arda is the co-founder and chief communications officer of Roll, which is an e-scooter share startup and currently operates its e-scooters in Calgary, but they are about to launch in Ottawa. So we figured this would be a great time to promote a new company that's coming into Ottawa and some new technology, and talk a little bit about how how that affects the way we currently commute around our city here in Ottawa. So Arda, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
So let's get into a little bit of how did you get involved with that? Let's just start there because right now you're in Toronto, but how did you get involved with Roll?
Yeah, so we have an interesting story actually. So I'm involved in student politics and academic board and some governing council positions. And I'm a U of T student, by the way. I'm in my final year. Our CEO is a recent grad from U of T. And I was just helping the student union to organize an event for the Earth Day. And we were asking the students about the school's policy on green technology. And there was Richard, my partner. I asked him, I didn't know him at that, about what he thinks about school's policies on green technology and green energy. And then he mentioned about his idea, his scooter idea. And at that time, it was 2019, last year. There was no other companies in Canada. There was just one small pilot going on in Waterloo. Other than that, there was no other e-scooter sharing company. And then I thought, okay, this is a really good opportunity and good timing. With the right product and with the right software, we can make it. And that's how we met. Since then we did a lot. We developed our own product. It's a custom designed, the best for the shared environment. We also developed our own software for the app, and that's how we met. And then we started to just travel. Calgary, Kelowna. We started with Kelowna last year. Kelowna was the first city that created a pilot framework, and then after that, the other municipalities looked at that and created their own frameworks.
So
Yeah,
how does it work, right? So it's an e-scooter share company. So you have the app, and I guess you pop up the app and you find a scooter and you log in, or
yeah,
how does it? If I want to go get a scooter right now, what would I do?
yeah. So you just download the app, and then you just click on right. You you scan the QR code, and that's done.
Okay.
You just unlock the scooter,
And will
and
the
then
app
once
tell me
you're
where the scooters are as well?
Yes, yes. You will see those like pinpoints where the scooters are. And then once you're done, you just need to click on end the trip, and then you take the picture, and that's all.
Okay.
And yeah, there's some different parking rules in Ottawa. You're supposed to park in the furniture zone, which the garbage bin or like tree, those area, and you're not allowed to ride on sidewalks in Ottawa.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
And is there like a radius that you'll operate within Ottawa, or
Yes. So right now, we have some restrictions on that. So first of all, we are not allowed to ride on NCC pathways, which I believe will change in the future once they will see that pilot program is working well, and they're gonna incorporate like they're gonna allow people to ride there, I guess. And we have, in terms of our service area, um, so let me just show it basically. So for the east side, we're just like it's a Rideau River, and then we have like for the bottom part, it's around like Trans Canada Highway,
okay?
and then up to the Quebec side.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a um, not a small area, but like we're just trying to limit ourselves with the core areas
Yeah.
by work market as well.
So like where I'm at, like obviously I'm in construction for the most part, so we need trucks and all sorts of stuff. So transportation for myself is a little bit different, but still, when I travel to cities, and we're looking into other transportation methods, and I still believe in a lot of this stuff, and I know that the transportation world is changing, and like vehicle ownership is changing
Yes.
for the majority of people, depending on where they live, of course. How do you find e-scooters or bikes, for that matter, fit into this new model in this new way that we're starting to flow into in terms of how we live?
That's a really good question. So when we look at 2 or 3 years ago, there was no scooters and there was no dockless bike share. Bike share was a kind of a novelty at that time. So things are changing really, really quick. And with the COVID, especially now, I'm seeing a lot of people riding bikes and scooters. So our lives are actually changing a lot, especially after COVID. And in the future, active transportation and micromobility, um, there's going to be a huge increase. We can see it right now. Uh, I was just seeing a few scooters before COVID, and now pretty much go outside, people are riding scooters. Um, so the main reason is now people are kind of afraid to use public transit because in the bus, it's really hard to practice social distancing, and there's other people you're using it with them. But for the shared mobility, of course, it's a shared vehicle, but you can just sanitize your hands, or you can just wipe it. It's easier to kind of it's common sense, to be honest. So I think that's why we are seeing an increase in micromobility vehicles. And the other thing is we're increase in the commuter trips. So previously, yes, we had commuter trips, we had frequent users, but it was more recreational, I would say. But now we are seeing a huge increase in commuter trips as well. So I think that's really good.
So yeah, that's interesting. So that's a good point about social distancing and public transportation and being able to do all that. Now, what I'm thinking about here in Ottawa is what's going to happen in the winter months. Is that are you just assuming that people will not use it, or do you remove them from the roads at that point because of the salt? What's your plan?
So I think the pilot will continue until October 31st. So after that, we will need to collect our scooters based on the municipal regulations. And unfortunately, it's not the best for Ontario, like Toronto, Ottawa
Right.
type of places. There's a lot of snow, and it's not really safe to ride when there's snow on the ground. But for winter, we're also exploring different options. Bikes are still um an option for winter, even though it's not going to be a smooth ride in terms of it's going to be cold. But yeah, unfortunately for winter season, scooters are not really a feasible solution.
And these scooters, so one of the things that you promote, I was noticing on your webpage, is that they're dockless. So
Yes.
how do they charge, like between users?
Yes. So different companies have different strategies. For us, when we launch in a city, we hire a staff, our own staff. They're responsible for running the daily operations, including charging the batteries, rebalancing the scooters, collecting them, bringing them to warehouse. So we hire our own staff. I think this is the best way to actually handle the operations because they know your product. Um, they're working with you. But for other companies, they have some different strategies, like independent contractors, which they just sign up, they charge it, and they get paid based on the scooter amount.
Okay. Is there going to be any age limits or anything like that for people riding these?
For the provincial regulations, it's 16 plus. But if you're 18 and below, 18 below, you are required to wear a helmet. But for us, we have a age limit, 18 plus. But sometimes people, you just sign up and they let their kids to ride the scooter, which is not legal, and there's a you can be fined for that. So we really discourage them to not do this type of behavior.
Right. Now you've been running this in Calgary for a while. What kind of issues have you been running into? Whether from an operations standpoint, we have a lot of business people who are listening to this as well, right? So not entrepreneurs. I just love business and entrepreneurship,
Mhm.
and being in business over 10 years at this point. We've had our bumps and our lessons and all sorts of ups and downs and roller coaster of a ride. So what are you? What types of things are you experiencing since you've started launching this?
Yeah. So it's interesting because it's on the street, so it's an interesting business to run. Um, so there are some common problems like riding on sidewalk. Actually, in Calgary, it's only allowed to ride on sidewalks. Sometimes there's a bike lane, but people are just using the like walk path just next to it. So we sometimes need to put some notifications, send an alert to users, and there's the other problem is sometimes people are not really parking the scooters properly. We send them an email, and then they actually park it properly after we send the first email to them. Other
Okay.
um, really far, we're really happy with our ridership amount. People are happy too. They're using a lot. Yeah. And also BIAs are BIAs are happy too. They're seeing an increase for those areas too, and we have some designated parking areas for people to just park it there. So that kind of eliminates a problem of scooter clustering and improper parking in general.
Okay. And yeah, you mentioned you're having some vandalism issues before we hit record as well,
Mhm.
eh?
Uh, this is kind of the nature of this business. Again, it's on the street, so it's hard for us to track all the scooters. But fortunately, we have the Internet of Things like IoT modules on every scooter. We have the internet connectivity, we have the GPS sensor and other sensors in there. So we can actually detect where the scooter is, but sometimes people just take it. We have to track them. We have to go their homes to ask the scooter. We experience these things, unfortunately, but yeah, this is the business.
In terms of your transportation, is this something that you were doing yourself before? Like, are you biking around Toronto, scootering around Toronto, or were you doing something else? And then this has got your interest.
Yeah. So I was biking before actually riding scooters. Now I'm scootering all the time. It's really convenient, and I always thought transportation is something that we're gonna find solutions all the time. Um, it's a problem that there are different types of solutions that we found so far: ride hailing, scooter sharing, but there will be new solutions in the future too. So I just wanted to be a part of this.
Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely exciting and a cool thing to be a part of. Now, one last thing, if I'm wanting to use this, like, how easy are these to use? If I have a bunch of things I need to carry, do I need to assume bring my own helmet, bring my own bag, and just backpack and kind of the more I use it, the better I'll get at it, or are they fairly simple to pick up on?
In terms of the first time use, we actually have a technology to limit the speed limit for the first time use to, have you a better experience to learn it. And yesterday I was just helping my friend to ride a scooter for the first time. And I asked him whether he's actually like this is his first time. It was pretty simple. It's personally, and for my friends, it's easier than learning how to ride a bike. Again, we have a technology to limit the speed limit for the first time. So if you're using for the first time, you will have a better understanding on how throttle works, how the brake works. It's pretty simple. In terms of carrying a bag or your or groceries maybe, we don't really recommend carrying extra bag other than maybe a backpack. But if you have some weight on your backpack, if you just let's say you put everything in your backpack for groceries, for example, it's gonna be a smooth ride. It's not gonna be you're not gonna really have a uh, uncomfortable situation. But to be honest, we don't really recommend because it might affect the weight if you have extra bags, for example. But
Right.
we see people doing it, and so far we didn't really receive a feedback on this.
Yeah, that's great. I love that you're a part of this technology, and I love that you're bringing this to Ottawa, and I love that Ottawa is open to this too, right? And there, because we are, as Ottawa, as a city, trying to increase our sustainability. So this is so great. Thank you for taking the initiative to do this, and it's not easy, right, to launch things like this and
Hmm.
uh, to build something from nothing, essentially,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
I definitely understand the challenges that come with that, and not to mention, like you said, that this is a brand new industry for the most part. So before we go, Arda, do you have any parting words of advice or things that you want to share? Anything that you want to share with our viewers and listeners?
Um, First of all, thank you for inviting me again. It was I really enjoyed this. One thing that I want to mention, I think we're gonna see e-scooters more in the upcoming months and next year, because Ottawa, they just had this scooter pilot uh, motion a few weeks ago in the council. So, and in terms of the timeline, they were really fast, and the process was diligent. They reviewed all the companies, so things are changing, even at the government level. So, and this is really exciting, to be honest. Um, and it's going to be a great example for other jurisdictions like Toronto, Vancouver, and other major jurisdictions. So yeah, yeah.
That's so great. Well, Arda, thank you so much for being on the show. And yeah, once again, thank you for taking this initiative.
Yep. Thank you, Casey.
Thanks for watching another episode of the Conscious Builder Show. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe and join us for these interviews. You can join us live every Tuesday at 4 p.m., or you can just watch it here on YouTube, and also follow all of the exciting projects that we have on the go. So thanks again, and we'll catch you on the next episode.